everybody, what's up? Welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you are new. My name is Kristen. My room is messy. That's life. I'm 30, almost 30, and I mean, these are my husband's, and like, he's a grown-ass man, and I'm not messing with it, and we got a pile of dirty clothes on the floor, so like, it happens. Not that that's what this video is about, I just thought I would address it first. So, I've been having some crazy dreams lately, and I just thought we could sit down and talk about them. Some of them are messed up in the sense of like, they're not happy dreams, so they're definitely not happy dreams. So let's just address that first. Not good dreams. If you don't like stories of children being injured, or unhappy weddings, or unfaithful spouses, or the world ending, don't watch the video, because trust me, I woke up with some serious anxiety from some of these dreams. Like, they're the kind of dreams that are so vivid that you wake up feeling the emotions you were feeling in the dreams. That's how these have been. And I don't normally dream like this unless I'm pregnant, and seeing as I've had my tubes tied, I really doubt that I'm pregnant. It would be like a miracle if I am. So let's go ahead and just, I guess, jump into it. The first one that I had that I can remember most of, my best friend was getting remarried to her ex-husband, and she was not happy in that marriage. We don't need to get all into her dirty laundry there. Really, it was just, they were incompatible with each other, bad fit. He's a nice guy. I'm actually still friends with him on Facebook. I talk to him when I see him at work. Like, it was nothing like he was like abusive, like nothing like that. They just weren't very compatible. They weren't happy together. That's pretty much all you really need to know. And now she's very happy with somebody that she is crazy about. But in my dream, for whatever reason, and this one I've had a while ago, so I don't remember all the details to it, but in my dream, she was like in a separate part. I don't know if they were getting, I don't think it was a church they were getting married in, but there was like some kind of a building where they were having the reception and the wedding. And she was in like this separate room, unable to see or talk to anybody. I was kind of like her little messenger. I'd run out and go like find out whatever she needed to find out about, or go get her things if there was something that she needed. Also, donated plasma today, if you guys are wondering about the bandage. So I was like, I don't know if I was in the bridal party or if I was just like helping her out. Like, I don't really know. But so I didn't see a lot of my friend. She was mostly just in this room. And same with her ex-husband. He was around somewhere. Neither of them were happy about having to get remarried to each other. But her mom was forcing this marriage. And she, like, that's what it was. They were having a hard time finding the groom, her ex-husband. They were having a hard time finding him. And my friend was perfectly okay with them not finding him. And she was like, I hope they don't. But she was like having me go out and find out all the information and see what's going on while she's like tucked away in this little room, because I guess she like couldn't come out. And her mom was a witch, and not in like a bad sense, but like she had magical powers. Like, she looked like herself, so like not green skin or warty or anything like that. She looked like herself. But she had magical powers, and she had a spell book that she was carrying all over this building, and she kept saying, I have to find this man. I need this man. I have to find this man. And nobody could figure out where the groom was. Nobody could find him. Again, they don't want to get married to each other, but like, her mom was forcing it and saying that it had to happen. They had to get remarried. They had no choice in it. And like, I don't know. And like, her mom would walk around like she was going to be the officiant and she was going to be the one that would marry them. But she was also kind of like the wedding planner, and any decorations that were out of sorts or anything that wasn't quite right, she was walking around with her spell book and she'd open it and like cast a spell to fix it. And then she'd go back on her hunt to try to find the groom. In my dream, I don't know that they ever found them. I don't remember the wedding ever actually taking place. It was just a whole lot of me following my friend's mom around trying to figure out what was going on. It was kind of a crazy dream. That one wasn't so bad as compared to the other ones we're going to get into. So this next one I had last night, and it was a short dream, or at least I don't remember a ton of it, but my sister-in-law's daughter, so my niece, she kept going, she was going to her dad's house, which my sister-in-law and her husband are divorced, so her ex-husband, and the kids do go to his house when he has visitation with them, whatever that's called. So she was going over there for visits, and something happened where her back got hurt and was messed up, and they had to take her to the hospital for x-rays. And it came to find out right around where like your spine and your shoulder meet, she had like a hairline fracture, which doesn't sound that bad to me. I mean, it's not good. She's 6. For starters, if you're wondering how old she is, she's 6. And in my dream, she's the same age. A hairline fracture, I mean, that's obviously not a good thing for a child to have. But it doesn't sound that super serious to me. I've got a fracture in my spine, like it hurts, and I've got arthritis from it, but like it's nothing like what I dreamt in my dream. And in my dream, she had this fracture where her shoulder and her spine met, but it was more in like her shoulder was hurting from it, but it was in the discs in her spine. She had a fracture along there, and because of that, they were going to have to go in and put bolts in her spine, so like pretty much fusing those together so they couldn't move, which I guess that's a thing that sometimes you have to have done with some of your discs. They have to get fused together sometimes, but I wouldn't think that a small hairline fracture would like warrant that. So like that's not a good part of the dream by any means, but what came out of it was that her dad was saying that he took her to swim lessons, and that she had a little 2-piece swimsuit on that had like a knot that tied to the back of the neck, and he was saying that that was too hard or too like abrasive rubbing on the back of her neck, and that's what caused it. That's what he was saying caused it. Like, super dumb excuse, right? And then the doctors were coming back and they were saying, no, this was blunt force trauma. And it all came out that he was actually like physically abusing her, like beating her. It wasn't anything other than beating her. I mean, that's bad enough, but... And then the whole dream, the perspective of it was that my sister-in-law was telling all of us about it. So like, I wasn't like involved with everything. It was just, that's what happened to her daughter, and then she was like telling us about how she ended up getting a fracture in her spine and how her dad tried to play it off like it was her swim top that caused it, when in reality he had like hit her really hard and broke her, or fractured her spine. And my sister-in-law was having to deal with like CPS and court and all that stuff, trying to revoke his rights to see the kids. Which in my dream, the other kids, which they also have a 16-year-old and like a 9-year-old, I think, they weren't affected at all. It was just the little girl, but that was a rough one to have. And then the other one I had last night, God bless my husband, he, in my dream, decided that he found somebody that he liked better than me. She was a pretty blonde with a really good job. And so he filed divorce papers against me and tried to take the kids away, and they were going to go raise the kids by themselves because she couldn't have kids. And so she was all like happy and like decorating a nursery for Ira and like setting up a room for Levi, and was like all happy because like in my dream it was like split. Like I had my experience with it, but then I was also like from their perspective seeing what was going on, and their whole thing was like, you know, trying to prove that they were a better fit because they had 2 sources of income and they could provide stable living, whereas I didn't have a full-time job yet. Like I was like begging my cousins to help me get on at the local factory, and I was just like putting applications in everywhere and just like trying to find a full-time employment because I am a stay-at-home mom, and like in real life and in my dream. And it was like complete shock to me. Like it came out of nowhere. I wasn't expecting him to file divorce papers, and it just like, that was an emotional roller coaster of a dream. To first find out that your husband doesn't want you anymore, and then he tries to take the kids away, and then at one point he tried to like split it and be like, oh, we'll just take the baby and you can just have Levi. And I was like, you can't separate my kids, like you can't take them both away from me. And I kept being like, you know, I'm the one who like was pregnant for 9 months. I'm the one who went through labor and delivery. Like you can't just take my babies. And he kept saying like, but they're my kids too, which is true. Like they are his kids. And I swear if we ever got divorced in real life, like it would be like a serious cutthroat custody battle, because he is so in love and attached to our kids, like, and so am I. we've joked about it before, that I'm like, if we ever got divorced, you just need to buy the house next door, and we have to share a backyard, because it would not work having like visitation and driving back and forth. Like, we'd have to both be in close proximity just for the kids and for us. Like, it would not be good. Not that we're at all looking towards divorce. My husband and I are very happy together. We're very much in love. Everything is peachy on this front. He was teasing me about the dream earlier. I told him about it. But he was like, who would I like better than you? And I'm like, apparently some blonde lady with a really good job. But I woke up sad from that dream. Like, I cried some this morning because of the emotions from that dream. It was just so vivid and so intense. And just my family being ripped apart, and like my kids being taken away from me, and like, oh man, you guys, that was a rough dream, and it was so vivid. And then the other dream that I've had was actually not last night, but the night before. I ended up dreaming about the how do you say it? It's this new virus coming out of China, the coronavirus. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly. In case you guys don't know anything about it, which I know like the very bare minimum, but to my knowledge, it just spreads through human contact. It takes 2 weeks incubation period. It's coming out of China. Thousands of people have contracted it at this point. It's like, was it like a couple hundred people have died now? They're saying it's mostly the elderly or people who have compromised immune systems are the ones that are passing away from it, but people are passing from it. And there are a few cases here in the United States. One of them being in Chicago, which is only 3 hours north of me, which is like too close for comfort. But anyway, in my dream, this just was, and I think this came because I read the article a little bit about what's going on in China, and how like they're not letting people use cars, and they're having people like go into, oh, what is it called? Oh, I'm gonna need this word for this story. Where they like lock you up and you quarantine. They're having people like quarantine in their houses. People aren't allowed driving. They're not really supposed to be out in public. Like, pretty much things in China, not all of China, but like this province in China, are just like shutting down because it's just getting so bad and it's spreading like crazy. So in my dream, it ended up getting like that here in the United States, and it was just like everything was shutting down. And my husband and I and this happened within like a 2-week time span. Like, it just happened real quick. And which it's kind of how it's happening in China. It's happening really quickly. And in my dream, like, everything was getting shut down. We happened to already have a stockpile of food on hand, so we were feeling pretty good about that. We had to like stockpile on water, and I remember him and I in my dream talking about like, oh, it's a good thing we had the stockpile of water, because like, you know, you can't go to the store and get anything. Like, it was just bad. Everything was shutting down. And it got to the point where the military started coming around door to door once a week and giving out rations of MREs, which stands for Meals Ready to Eat, and it is like dehydrated food packages. The military eats them like when they're in deployment or like out in the field and stuff. And in my dream, they were giving them out to civilians just to keep people alive. And when the soldiers would come to your door to deliver your food rations, they would be in hazmat suits, just trying to prevent any more like exposure. And in my dream, when all of this really kind of took off, my husband, like I said, we had a stockpile of food and water. And then we had, I guess at some point we decided, and I don't know if we had to drain the bank for this or what, but we decided to finish off our privacy fencing just to try to keep anybody like out of our space. Which, for any of you who follow me, you know we have like half of our yard completely done in privacy fencing, but we haven't finished the other half. And we're planning on just doing chain link and hooking up to our neighbor's chain link fence, but in my dream we decided against that, and we just got the materials and did privacy fencing just to like have a secure, safe space to keep people out. We decided to park our cars inside of the privacy fencing. We have a double gate in the front yard, and so we just pulled our cars in and parked them. That way nobody could get to them. And we boarded up the front windows and doors of our house, that way nobody could get in, because things were just getting that bad, to the point that we knew that since stores were empty and people couldn't go out in town anymore and everything was shutting down, that people were going to start looting other people's houses for supplies. That's where we were headed. And so that's where we were in my dream for the most part. I'm not really sure how the soldiers were able to deliver my weekly food rations, and yet I had the door boarded up where you couldn't open and close it, but I still got my food rations from the front door. I don't know how that was working. But in my dream, the soldier comes to the door with our weekly food ration, and he tells us, your neighbor across the street, who's an older lady, has passed away. Your neighbor next door, who's also an older lady, has passed away. They're in their houses, and we're leaving them there because there's just so many people dying. Like people were calling it the Black Plague, like round 2, pretty much. Like, I know the coronavirus and the Black Plague are 2 separate things, but the Black Plague, when it happened in England in, what was it? Was it the 1700s? 1500s? A couple hundred years ago? It wiped out a big portion of the population. And that's what the coronavirus was doing. And it was worldwide. It was all over the place. Like, everything was just shutting down. People were just dropping dead. And there were so many dead people that, like, we couldn't keep up with the burying of our dead. And so if someone passed away or was presumably dead, they were just left in their house. And so my neighbors who passed away, there was no, like, confirmation of it, but the military would come to the door to make their food ration, and nobody would answer the door. And I guess it happened enough times when nobody answered the door consecutively that they just got pronounced dead. They put, like, an X on the door to mark it as having dead bodies inside, which is what they did in Katrina, if you guys remember. I'm pretty sure anyways, like, if somebody passed away in a house in Katrina, they just mark it. Is that right? Somebody let me know in the comments, but I'm pretty sure that they did that. But anyways, they're doing that in my dream, and they notified us, you know, your neighbors are gone, they've passed. The neighbors on the other side of us were still alive, the ones that we don't like, the drunks. They were still alive, of course. And they said that they had such short numbers left in the military just from so many people passing away, that would be our last weekly food ration, and that they would no longer be distributing food, and we would be on our own. Like, everything was shutting down. Shortly after this, we were outside. We had the kids outside in the fenced-in backyard, and the neighbor, one of them, poked their head over the fence and was like, hey, how are you guys doing on food? And we told them, which in my dream we had a decent stockpile. We were doing okay. But we told them that, you know, we didn't have much left and we'd only make it another day or 2 before we'd be out of food. Well, that evening we heard noise outside, like we were laying in bed. We heard noise outside, we opened the window, and we seen somebody trying to crawl over our privacy fencing. And so we took out a firearm and we shot them. And they fell over the side of the privacy fencing back into their own yard. And so they laid there dead. And a little later on in the dream, like probably like the next day maybe, we got out and we did barbed wire around the top part of our privacy fencing. Don't ask me where we got it. Just magically had it. And it wasn't long before you could start smelling the neighbor rotting in the yard. And it wasn't long after that that we assumed everybody in that house died from the coronavirus, because you stopped hearing or seeing people coming and going. And they never did anything with the guy in the yard. They just left him there. So after all of that, we decided that it was in our best interest to pack up everybody and go out to my in-laws' house, which is out in the country. We thought that maybe just getting away from people would be a good idea. We were debating a lot about it, because we were like, you know, here we have our privacy fencing and we have our barbed wire and we have got our food storage, we've got our firearms, like we're safe. But like on the other hand, we're in the middle of town. This is going to continue happening with people trying to like break into the house. And we thought maybe just getting out in the country and then being with like more people would be the best case scenario. I don't know what happened with my parents and all of this. They were not in the dream at all. My in-laws were never in the dream either. I woke up before we ever got there. But in my dream, in the middle of the night so nobody could hear or see us, we loaded up both my husband's car and my car. We both have SUVs. We loaded them both up with all of our food and all of our water and all of our firearms and all of our ammunition, anything that we thought would be a good survival tool. We loaded up in the cars, and we loaded the kids and me in one car and him and everything else in the other car. Just because there's so much stuff, we couldn't take everything in one car. And we started heading out towards my in-laws. I don't know if we ever made it there. I don't know what happened after that, but it was a pretty intense dream. Like, I woke up about 6 o'clock in the morning and I was like, I think I'm done sleeping. Like, it was just, whew, it was a lot. Like, I should write a book on that dream, okay? Like that, like your next, it almost sounds like it'd be like a zombie movie. I guess it'd be like an apocalypse movie maybe. Like, your next one coming from me. Man, that one was intense. That one and the one where I jumped my husband, filed divorce papers, was intense. So those are just some of the crazy dreams I've been having recently. I don't know why I've been dreaming so intensely lately. Like, they are so vivid that I am waking up feeling the emotions I'm having in these dreams. Like, they're just insanely crazy. Hopefully you guys found this interesting and enjoyed it. I know it's kind of a wacky, different kind of a video, but you know, when you have really interesting dreams, you just want to share them. So let me know in the comments below, have you guys had any crazy dreams? We can talk about our crazy dreams down below. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you give it a big thumbs up so other people can find this video. Subscribe if you've not already. I'd love to have you here. And I hope to catch you in my next video.